Story. All across Nigeria, we bring you news and information that will make your day. We are news. We are 24 News Radio TV. From Abuja to Lagos, Sokoto to Port Harcourt, Enugu to Ilorin. All across Nigeria, we bring you news and information that will make your day. We are news. We are 24 News Radio TV. From Abuja to Lagos, Sokoto to Port Harcourt, Enugu to Ilorin. All across Nigeria, we bring you news and information that will make your day. We are news. We are 24 News Radio TV.
A lovely morning to you. You're welcome to another edition of Today in the Dailies on 24 News Radio and Television. My name is Grace Nwafo. And a quick rundown of the major headlines. Power rotation debate heats up as North reviews Tinubu scorecard. Nurses Sean FG talks begins warning strike today. Nihoto sets up panel to sanction tourism offenders. North splits over Tinubu marginalization claim. States accuse FG of sabotaging power sector decentralization. And from the business world, 210 trillion naira audit. Senate demands NNPC response in 3 weeks. These and more will come your way in the course of this newspaper review. Stay with us. Yes, beginning with the first story here. Power rotation debate heats up as North reviews Tinubu scorecard. The long simmering debate over Nigeria's power rotation arrangement flared up again yesterday as northern political leaders, technocrats, traditional rulers, and civil society actors converged on Kaduna to assess President Bola Tinubu's performance 2 years into his tenure. The high-powered meeting, convened by the Sir Ahmadu Bello Memorial Foundation and held at the historic Arawa House, brought together some of the most influential voices from across the 19 northern states and the Federal Capital Territory. The two-day event themed Assessing Electoral Promises for Citizen Engagement for National Unity underscored both the region's weight in national politics and the urgency of the question being asked about Nigeria's future under Tinubu. For more on this assessment, the Punch newspaper is your guide. And still coming from the Punch, nurses Sean FG talks begin warning strike today. Nurses under the umbrella of the National Association of Nigerian Nurses and Midwives Federal Health Institution sector have insisted that their planned 7-day warning strike will begin today. The members vowed to complete the strike even if the government called for negotiation. Speaking in an interview with Punch newspaper correspondent, the national chairman of the association, Mora Kinyo, said the government had 15 days to respond to their demands but failed to act. The union on July 14, 2025 issued a 15-day ultimatum to the federal government demanding immediate intervention to prevent a total healthcare shutdown. For the full report, the Punch newspaper is your guide. Nihoto sets up panel to sanction tourism offenders. A former chief judge of the Federal Capital Territory, Justice Ishak Bello, has been appointed chairman of the newly established Hospitality, Travel and Tourism Practitioners Disciplinary Tribunal. Bello was inaugurated alongside other members by the Director General of the National Institute for Hospitality and Tourism, Dr. Abisoye Fagade, in Abuja. The tribunal is tasked with enforcing ethical standards, ensuring compliance with licensing regulations, and promoting across the hospitality, travel, and tourism sectors. Justice Bello is expected to bring his wealth of experience in legal reform and judicial administration to bear in the Institute's latest regulatory drive. For the full report, the Punch newspaper is your guide. Still coming from the Punch and from the Northern Zone, North splits over Tinubu marginalization claim. The political and civil leadership of northern Nigeria converged in Kaduna yesterday for a landmark assessment of President Bola Tinubu's administration, an event that led bare deep divisions within the region over claims of marginalization and the performance of the federal government. While some stakeholders lauded Tinubu's developmental strides and appointments in the north, others voiced strong concerns over what they described as growing neglect, insecurity, and economic exclusion under his watch. For the full report, we are still reading from the Punch newspaper. And still from the Punch, state accuse FG of sabotaging power sector decentralization. State government have accused the federal government of attempting to reverse the gains of power sector decentralization, warning that proposed amendment to the Electricity Act could erode their newly granted autonomy and undermine Nigeria's electricity reform trajectory. The tension was laid bare on Tuesday at the high-level engagement between the Minister of Power, Adebayo Adelabo, and state commissioners of energy, where governors' representatives demanded full respect for subnational regulatory powers, especially over electricity tariffs, licensing, and distribution system. And away from that, 210 trillion naira audit, Senate demands NNPC response in 3 weeks. The Senate on Tuesday gave the Group Chief Executive Officer of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, Bayo Ojulari, 3 weeks to respond to queries raised in audit report covering the period from 2017 to 2023 regarding the alleged unaccounted sum of 210 trillion naira. The directive was issued by the Senate Committee on Public Accounts, chaired by Senator Ahmed Wadada. After a session with Ojulari, Senator Wadada clarified that the money was neither missing nor stolen, but was yet to be properly accounted for. For the full report, the Punch newspaper is still your guide. And still coming from the Punch, FG vows to end era of strikes in tertiary institutions. The Minister of Education, Dr. Tunji Alausa, said the federal government is committed to ending the era of strikes in Nigeria's tertiary institutions, promising improved engagement and fulfillment of agreements with academic unions. Alausa gave the assurance during an interview with Channels Television on Tuesday, saying President Bola Tinubu had issued a firm directive to prevent further disruptions in tertiary education. I think if the federal government can achieve this, there's hope for our educational sector. Well, if you want to have the full report, the Punch newspaper is still your guide. And this one says ICPC indicts MDAs over failure to set up anti-corruption unit. The Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission has lamented the lack of official eagerness to wage war against corruption. It said about 92 ministries, departments, and agencies are yet to establish anti-corruption and transparency unit. The commission disclosed this on Tuesday in a report presented at an investigative hearing organized by the House of Representatives Committee on Anti-Corruption in Abuja. Do you think creating and establishing an anti-corruption and transparency unit is actually well, maybe one of the ways we can actually wage the war against corruption, but there are other better, other areas of focus that we could have actually looked into onto maybe the cause of the corrupt activities, the corrupt act. Then I think finding the root cause of something is another way, is a step towards, achieving the success or salvaging a situation. But either ways, having a corruption unit, anti-corruption unit, and transparency is actually a good step. I do hope that it comes up with something, you know, very meaningful and at the end achieve its course of if it doesn't get corrupted. Anyway, away from the Punch newspaper onto the Vanguard. Tinubu reassures nuts of development as ACF chair ex-SGF kicks. President Bola Tinubu has said his administration will ensure equitable development of all regions paper. Still coming from the Vanguard, IMF upgrades Nigeria's economic growth forecast to 3.74%. Sorry. The International Monetary Fund (IMF) has upgraded its forecast for Nigeria's economic growth to 3.4% in 2025. The new forecast represents 0.4 percent point from the 3.0% forecast of the IMF in April this year. Similarly, the IMF raised its forecast for the country's economic growth for 2026 to 3.2%, representing 0.5 percent points from 2.7% in April. The IMF announced the new forecast in its World Economic Outlook July 2025 edition, which also showed an upward review of the forecast for global economic growth to 3.0% for 2025 and 3.1% for 2026. For the full report, the Vanguard is your guide. This one says 2027 ADC might become another PDP or APC if Lukman wants. The foremost promoter of the coalition-backed African Democratic Congress (ADC), Saliu Lukman, has warned against the infiltration of godfathers who could derail the party's democratic aspirations ahead of the 2027 general elections. He spoke as former governor of Borno State and the chieftain of All Progressive Congress (APC), Ali Modu Sheriff, dismissed ADC as a party that would soon go out of existence, adding that the presidential candidate of Labour Party in 2023 elections, Peter Obi, would return to People's Democratic Party (PDP). Modu Sheriff was, however, countered by a spokesman of ADC, Malam Bolaji Abdullahi, who said Obi would not risk returning to PDP. Lukman, in a statement in Abuja yesterday, noted the permissive of some opposition leaders in the 18 months leading to the final adoption of the ADC. For the full report on that, the Vanguard newspaper is your guide. 2027, ADC might become another PDP or APC. Lukman wants. Still coming from the Vanguard, Tinubu directed us not to allow us to strike. Education Minister. Tinubu directed us not to allow us to strike. The Minister of Education, Dr. Tunji Alausa, said the federal government under President Bola Tinubu is committed to ending industrial actions by unions in tertiary institutions across Nigeria. Okay, the Punch newspaper also had this report as well as the Vanguard. So if you're interested in this sector of the economy, you can consult the Vanguard newspaper or the Punch. And this one coming from the foreign space. British High Commission CDS decry killing of 38 hostages after ransom payment. The British High Commission yesterday decried the weekend killing of 38 kidnapped hostages in Zamfara state, even after over 50 million naira ransom had been paid. This came on the day the Chief of Defense Staff, CDS General Christopher Musa, issued stern warning to Nigerians against providing any form of support to bandits. Reacting to the killing in Abuja, British Deputy High Commissioner Ms. Gil Lever, who lamented that only 18 of the hostages were released after the ransom payment, said very frankly he was disappointed by their act. For the full report, the Vanguard newspaper is your guide. British High Commission (CDS) decry killing of 38 hostages after ransom payment. And one more from the Vanguard newspaper. Tesla Samsung seal $16.5 billion AI chip alliance in a move poised to shape the future of artificial intelligence and electric vehicles. Tesla has entered into a $16.5 billion partnership with Samsung to produce advanced AI chips. The collaboration was confirmed by Tesla CEO Elon Musk in a post on X shortly after Samsung disclosed the agreement in a regulatory filing. Musk noted that the new AI A16 chips would be produced at Samsung's state-of-the-art semiconductor facility in Taylor, Texas, USA. For the full report, the Vanguard newspaper is your point of call. And we'll take a quick break now. When we return, we'll take other headlines and other newspaper headlines from other pages. Do stay with us.
Welcome to 24 News Radio and Television, your trusted companion for real-time updates, expert analysis, and compelling conversations. We bring the world closer to you with clear, credible, and action at every moment. With our seasoned reporters and sharp broadcasters, we dig deep to uncover the facts behind the headlines from your neighborhood to the global stage. Stay connected with 24 News Radio and Television for breaking news and current happenings across the globe. 24 News Radio and Television. The world is closer than you think.
Yes, if you're just joining us, this is today in the dailies on 24 News Radio and Television. We've taken the headlines, the major headlines from the Punch newspaper as well as the Vanguard. Now we are heading on to the Nigerian Tribune. The first one here says, emergency rule Rivers stakeholders raise posers over 6 months duration. In a few weeks, okay, in this report, okay, this is actually a future from people, from someone. So if you're interested in this report, emergency rule, river stakeholders raise posers over 6 months duration. You can check the Nigerian Tribune. And then this one says FG warns states against unilateral electricity market development. The Minister of Power, Adebayo Adelabu, on Tuesday warned state government against taking unilateral decisions in the development of subnational electricity market, saying engaging in such would not only destabilize the national grid but also erode investors' confidence. Adelabu gave the warning when he met with the State Commissioner of Energy, apparently as a result of recent decision taken by the Enugu Electric Regulatory Commission (EERC), which announced reduction in electricity tariff. For the full report, the Nigerian Tribune is your guide. And from the nation, Yuwatda Akume Yahaya Sani rally not for Tinubu. Prominent northern politicians in Kaduna yesterday made a strong case for the re-election of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and for power to remain in the south till 2031. According to them, doing so will maintain the polity's integrity and ensure continuous unity. Vice President Kashim Shettima said the president runs a government that carries the people along, saying he governs with the people and not above them. For the full report, the Nation newspaper is your guide. Yuwatda Akume Yahaya Soni rally not for Tinubu. INEC, this one says, INEC to SIEC, conducting council polls without mandatory notice notice for anarchy. Conducting council polls without mandatory notice recipe for an anarchy. Chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, has urged officials to state independent electoral commissions (CX) to learn how to abide by the provision of the law to enable them to conduct credible elections at the local government levels. Yakubu said this when he hosted the leadership of the state electoral bodies in his office yesterday in Abuja. The INEC chairman told the SEC officials that the activities often reflected the commission negatively. He said many Nigerians believe that the various SECs were appendages of the INEC. For the full report, the Nation newspaper is your guide. And still from the Nation, respond to AG's queries on 210 trillion naira cash, Senate tells NMPC. The Bayo Ojulari-led Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited (NNPCL) has 21 days to explain what happened to 210 trillion naira cash that has not been accounted for. So this particular story has made headlines on four of the newspapers we took this morning, and if you've been following the story, you would know that the NNPC have been charged over time, even the time they failed to appear before the Senate to actually account for the missing money. Okay, there's one of the reports said it wasn't stolen, so they should actually account for it or what they used it for. So I do hope that the NNPCL comes up with their excuse, or should I say expenditure explanation now on what happened to the 210 trillion naira they were given. Then this one says PDP ADC lock horns in supremacy battle. Opposition parties, the People's Democratic Party (PDP) and African Democratic Congress (ADC) are locked in supremacy battle following a dig at the PDP by the ADC. The former ruling party yesterday fired back at the ADC, now taken over by coalition politicians led by Atiku Abubakar. The PDP accused some ADC members of being known agents of the All Progressive Congress, whose goal was to dislodge the ruling party from power in 2027. For the full report, the Nation newspaper is your guide. And still from the Nation, 2027, South should complete 8 years as president, says Moro. Let's see. Okay, we'll take that story after this break. Do stay with us.
Welcome to 24 News Radio and Television, your trusted companion for real-time updates, expert analysis, and compelling conversations. We bring the world closer to you with clear, credible, and concise information at every moment. With our seasoned reporters and sharp broadcasters, we dig deep to uncover the facts behind the headlines from your neighborhood to the global stage. Stay connected with 24 News Radio and Television for breaking news and current happenings across the globe. 24 News Radio and Television. The world is closer than you think.
From Abuja to Lagos, Sokoto to Port Harcourt, Enugu to Ilorin, all across Nigeria, we bring you news and information that will make your day. We are news. We are 24 News Radio TV. From Abuja to Lagos, Sokoto to Port Harcourt, Enugu to Ilorin, all across Nigeria, we bring you news and information that will make your day. We are news. We are 24 News Radio TV. From Abuja to Lagos, Sokoto to Port Harcourt, Enugu to Ilorin, all across Nigeria, we bring you news and information that will make your day. We are news. We are 24 News Radio TV. From Abuja to Lagos, Sokoto to Port Harcourt, Enugu to Ilorin, all across Nigeria, we bring you news and information that will make your day. We are news. We are 24 News Radio TV.
From the South, 2027, South should complete 8 years as president, says Moro. The People's Democratic Party has been hit by a series of crises leading to the resignation of prominent chieftains. Last week, its 2023 presidential candidate, former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, tendered his resignation later, citing deep frustration with internal party democracy. So this report from Moro, if you are interested in it, you can check the Nation newspaper. And this one coming from the Daily Post. 2027 elections, PDP suffers blow as prominent members dump party in Northeast. As the countdown for the 2027 election begins, the People's Democratic Party (PDP) is grappling with a growing wave of defections in the Northeast. A development analyst observed could weaken the party's long-standing influence in the region, from Taraba to Adamawa, Yobe to Borno, and Gombe to Bauchi State. Prominent figures were noticed to be exiting the party in protest, citing internal crisis, lack of inclusiveness, and leadership disillusionment. For the full report, the Daily Post is your guide. 2027 elections, PDP suffers blow as prominent members dump party in Northeast. And this one coming from the foreign space. Lamy hopes plan to recognize Palestinian state will get ceasefire. Foreign Secretary David Lammy has said he hopes the UK move to recognize the Palestinian state in September will affect the situation on ground and lead to a ceasefire in Gaza. The UK announced on Tuesday it would recognize the Palestinian state if Israel did not agree a ceasefire and take steps to end the war. For the full report on this, BBC is your guide. And this one says, Jordan and UAE begin airdrop in Gaza after Israel announced series of aid measures. Okay, and that is the much we can take on today in the Dailies 24 News Radio and Television. Thank you so much for joining us. Do stay tuned for more programs to be coming your way in the course of today. And don't forget, you can place your advert in the course on this channel and for any program of your choice. Could be the Today in the Dailies, could be for any other program that you'd love to place your advert on. My name is Grace Nwafo. Do have a lovely day.
From Abuja to Lagos, Sokoto to Port Harcourt, Enugu to Ilorin, all across Nigeria.